Good evening, SpeedGaming 3. Welcome to Hybrid Major Glitches, Teams Class Randomizer's Glitch Tournament of the summer. I'm joined by Tex Newman, and we have Specks versus Furaime with
Hello, Malmo. Looking forward to Game 2, Specks versus Furaime. And we have the Hybrid Major Glitches tournament. So we're allowed to use major glitches. What are we allowed to do in this game?
We are allowed to go out of bounds in the overworld and the underworld, as long as we're going through walls in the underworld and not through the floor.
Yeah, that's right. You can think of it as we're allowed to move anywhere in 2 dimensions, but we're not allowed to move in the 3rd dimension, up and down.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I think there's a tracker error of me trying to track and our actual tracker trying to track at the same time. Specks is up 1 game, not 2. This is a best of 3 double elimination tournament. Specks is looking very pink today.
All right. Our runners are starting off at Link's house. Looks like we have a green pendant Hera. We get a check from Specks.
So this is a thing that people will often do is they'll go to this area of the screen and read the RNG of the guards. Because if you get good RNG, you can just clip straight to the bridge. And then if you get a water walk from the route that takes you on, you can check the island that way. Or you can go down and check the island first. And if you get bad RNG, you can just go up here instead.
Furaime checks his map as well. Oh, there's a hammer in the back of Sahasrala's closet.
So the bad guard RNG actually working in their favor today, and also the mushroom is not bad just to have early because you might have a fake powder opportunity. You might have an opportunity to check the mushroom. You can actually walk out there and clip up to the witch and check it immediately, but I think the runners just feel like they have better things to do than check the fetch quest when they also got the hammer.
I always forget to do that clip. And it does take a couple of extra transitions, going south to north rather than north to south. One extra anyway. All right, so this is open mode. We have the whole light world open to our runners. We can go into the dark world as well. Even with the hammer, we can hammer down the TR pegs and then check Super Bunny Cave.
Super Bunny Cave is, I think, one of the worst dark world per locations.
Yeah,
it's not as bad when you have the mirror. The problem with Super Bunny is it orphans the other dark world checks in the area a little bit more than the other ones do. Like if you do Mire Shed with just the mitts and mirror, then you just don't have to go back to the Mire area anymore until you're ready to do the dungeon. But if you're doing Super Bunny Cave, you're orphaning Hookshot Cave and Catfish, and that can be a problem.
Nice bombs from the tree pull. Nothing is at Lumberjack today.
Specks going out of his way to get these bombs. I don't think Furaime will be doing that because of the tree pull giving 4 bombs.
I love the bird song in this MSU.
Yeah, what is this pack? I think he said it in the race room. Yeah,
runners
puzzle games mix. That's an interesting one. I don't know very many puzzle games, but there's probably a variety of them in here. Oh, this is an interesting palette for Death Mountain.
Very purpley.
It's very Mario.
Mm-hmm.
Furaime does not believe in CAC-W. We're just going straight to Kakariko to get the, 3 swords and 2 fire rods that are here.
I thought CAC-W was going to Kakariko.
It's CAC-W is in the eye of the beholder.
I think it swapped recently.
CAC-W is going against the meta, and the meta keeps changing, so...
That's right. I have heard this MSU pack. Oh, it's changed. All right. So it's a green. It's really a green Death Mountain. We just had the overworld colors for it.
We did, and we had the messed up tile set from clipping up the mountain, giving it that Mario look. Maybe even like, yeah, it reminds me of some like older Super Nintendo games where things get a little bit more abstract.
So Specks is using quick swap in the dark. Once he goes through a door transition, he'll know, because he won't be able to use the menu anymore.
Part of delaying Kakariko was waiting for items like the bottle to show up. And the bottle was just here, but it doesn't look like there was that much else here besides like an ice rod. The mirror may be the biggest impactor that Furaime has found so far, because the mirror could give some more efficient routing options while on the mountain, like hitting Super Bunny Cave and East Death Mountain at the same time.
Specks got lost in the cave, unfortunately. We'll be trying again.
Specks got lost at the right time, which was after talking to the old man. He's actually stuck here forever until he rescues the old man. He's really rescuing himself at this point.
I'm a little surprised that Specks doesn't use dash dust to show his location.
Yeah, that's a sign of a player who plays more than just glitch modes.
Yeah. Dash dust is the only language I know.
I agree. Sometimes I like go in with the lamp and just dash dust out of habit.
Oh, here's a sword. Is this a dupable sword, Malmo?
This, I think it is, and I think Furaime is actually just forgetting how to do the clip. You do have to know how to do the clip if you do that screen YBA, the glitch that makes the game think you're on a different screen so you can collect the item twice. Also messes up the collision a little bit, making that clip a little harder. So in practice, I wouldn't be able to do this dupe because I wouldn't be able to do the clip.
All right, so Furaime takes the intended route. And now the unintended route to desert.
Furaime could do the intended route if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm. So Specks won game 1, and from what you mentioned, it was a hard-fought race. I don't know Specks' gameplay too well, though. Furaime, on the other hand, is a experienced glitched runner and has been running glitch mode since the beginning of Glitched, basically. And in the first Overworld Glitches tournament, took me out in the first round.
That's cool that you have a history. Specks is relatively new, but has been extremely enthusiastic in learning things and has really made a name for himself in glitch hunting for discovering a clip that actually like blew everyone's minds, because it's not just for glitch modes. We'll definitely see it if we're gonna do any kind of swamp plays in the seed, because you just always do it when you're in swamp. It skips the hammer, it skips the flooding sequence at the very beginning once you're in the dungeon.
Pain of Samaria is found in the desert, big key chest.
I like to see Kena Samaria and Mirror before Moon Pearl because I'm not the one playing the seed, and it's fun to watch people search for the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, it
In
could be
place-
in Turtle Rock.
Can be in Turtle Rock. It's a little less likely without the glove, or without the fire rod because of the key situation, but it could still just be sitting in Chain Chomps. Chain Chomps is sort of like a Sphere 1 Turtle Rock location. If you can get in, no matter what your key situation is, you can always get to Chain Chomps.
Yeah. A funny consequence of teleporting down while a vulture was circling. Furaime got hit by the vulture.
Specks will demonstrate the clip that you can use to get the item quicker.
Yeah, there it is.
Has a little bit of soft lock risk, but Spec seems to know what to do, which is to tap towards the boy afterward.
Yeah. Furaime getting used to dealing with cacti. Okay, Specks too far to the right to make that transition. You can't go there.
Yeah, you need to be a little bit on that slope.
Yeah.
It looks like you should be able to jump down, but you can't for some reason.
Alright, what's next? Looks like a South Shore play. Furaime heading south.
Furaime doesn't have money,
Ah,
but this does look like actually a mushroom turn-in play. Which, might end up in a save scum because we do also have the cane and can do fake powder next time we're in the Village of Outcasts area.
okay. You're right. There is a reset.
So maybe this is really South Shore.
Yeah, he's definitely going south this time.
I didn't pay much attention to what Specks did after the mountain. Was this a graveyard ledge play?
Yeah, I was.
But no Houlihan.
Oh, okay. It was. He walked through the graveyard. I believe he went to Kakariko after Graveyard Ledge.
Okay. I'm surprised to not see a back of escape play from either of them.
Ah, yeah. Other cane is found at the NPC.
And our tracker, Other Tom, is tracking the other cane.
Thank you,
Give a
Tom.
shout out to our crew. I'm not sure if Specks knows that you can spin speed clip through that first part that gets you 2K45. Because I saw him doing some dash buffers.
Yeah. Alright, Furaime.
Furaime suddenly has money and actually has enough money to make 20 Rupee Cave maybe worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
only 2
interesting.
trips.
The money came from the dam chest. Yeah, that's right. So he has 501. Next up is the Ice Rod Cave chest. And where's Specks' next play? Looks like the mountain. Yeah. Oop.
Yeah, okay, so Specks is a spin speed clipper,
Mm-hmm.
which means it's impossible to know where he's going until he's actually doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things you can do that start there. And usually we can tell which one you're doing by which side you're clipping on.
Nothing at the tablets today, despite the early book.
So Spec's taking advantage of having normal access, so to speak, of East Death Mountain. And I
Yeah.
wonder if he will actually start in the Dark World here. He could have if he wanted to, but he chose not to.
All right, Zor's domain for Furaime. Water walk is one of the minor glitches that is in logic. Oh, a sword.
It is a
Nice.
sword. That's pretty good. Especially considering like he went into this play not expecting to do Zora at all.
Yeah.
And opportunistically farmed rupees because he got 300 rupees in the dam. I wonder if Specs will do the same. Probably won't need to farm because I think probably by then he'll have a little bit more money than Furaime has.
Yeah. He just needs 4 rupees. Wait. No. Never mind. Don't listen to me.
It's okay. It's very close now. He needs 4 and 20 blackbirds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we can't.
Trying to switch. Trying to hit the switch and ignore the Moldorms. And there's just a
there's
sword here, so... The Zora sword is fine to get later. Maybe with the catfish play. I think maybe Specs has better things to do with that bow that he just found.
Like Palace of Darkness.
Like South Shore.
Yeah, so he doesn't even need the 300.
Oh no! Furaime got Katy Perry'd on the bridge. Actually, beaming the dead rock deeper into the bridge, I think made it a little easier to despawn.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think he meant it that way, but...
I kind of think he did. I think Furaime does so much stuff that is intentional, just on the spot.
It was very clever.
Yeah.
Okay, Furaime must be playing on a CRT, because he doesn't dash straight to the pit. I used to call people cowards for not doing that, and then I found out that people who play on CRTs actually can't see the item.
Oh, nice flash for Furaime. That was kind of funny. It's doubtful because he's on emulator.
That's a good point. He's on the same emulator I use, I should have noticed. So I can call him a coward, is what you're saying.
Well, I just think a lot of people play it safe.
I think a lot of people don't know that you can actually see the item from the pit. I think they're genuinely not aware.
True.
And what you can do is, if you do fall in the pit, you just go to pod, because that's where pod is. It's in the bottom of that pit.
Very true.
This is a pretty pleasant Ice Palace palette.
Yeah. Looking forward to that dungeon.
Yeah, the last time you did it, it was hot pink.
Ice Palace for Moon Pearl still alive. We would have to find a glove first.
We would have to find a glove. I mean, it's literally just a glove to put it in logic, so if you have the mitts, you can walk in and clip through the front door and land on the room below and skip the Freezor, which means you can do a whole bunch of Ice Palace with 0 items except for the mitts. It's pretty scary to think about. But the glitches also give you a lot of things you can do out of logic, if the logic expects you to do something really dumb.
Specks goes into Zora's domain with 916 rupees.
They're going to be getting their tempered swords very close to each other.
Yeah. So Zora will spit his out first on Specks' side.
Yeah, Furaime's is in Paradox, so it's a little bit off from now.
This looks like a mushroom check for Specks now.
Interested to see if Specks also chooses to keep the mushroom. Specks has a little bit more reason to do so. Having an empty magic bar makes the fake powder a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But it's still really slow to get there. You're probably not doing it until you're like actually in the area for some other reason.
Another possibility is a south clip to eastern. That's not on Specks' agenda, though.
That surprises me, but having the hammer, bow, and mirror means that you could do it from pod, maybe a little bit faster. I think this is maybe a pod play. Oh no, we're just climbing the mountain. Yeah, we're climbing the mountain to pod. That's how you get there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I forgot. I've been encouraging people to do this because the shortcut is barely a shortcut, and if you're not totally confident with it, you are usually losing time.
Okay,
like I do it because I'm bad at this.
This is kind of funny because both runners are going into something of a dark world. All right, we have Pendant Swamp and Thieves Town.
Yeah, Furaime being the first person to find out whether pod is a pendant or a crystal. Specks will find out by going into the dungeon.
Okay. Specks going for apparently a setup-less Kiki skip, which I've never seen anyone do other than you.
I teach this in my tutorial. I hope Specks didn't learn from me. It's not actually good. But it is technically optimal to just walk to the pixel rather than do a setup. It's better when you have a menu buffer. In the speedrun, it's actually pretty good. It's not very good in rando.
Yeah, I know two different ways to do this, and I just haven't found a way to do that without getting too nervous from the minimal dorms.
It's definitely scarier when you're on like 3 hearts. You have 3 bombs and your run's dead if you run out. In rando, you can just kind of like fail it and try again, and it's fine.
That makes sense.
So this Dead Mountain play is taking full advantage of all the items Furaime found that put TR in logic. We're about to see exactly how much of it is in logic by counting keys.
Loot is nothing. Does not stand for anything. So into TR we go. So it looks like Furaime will be doing a death warp here to Underworld Bunny Revive and to Link.
Dying is in logic, turns out.
So fun fact, both of our runners are now in fake Dark World. Specks never entered the Dark World. It's still being in Light World. Furaime died while Aghanim has not yet been defeated. That puts him in the Light World. So they get the Light World pots. Oh, bit of a bonk from Furaime, but one spin keeps the Koki controlled.
This is one of the worst places to bonk. That room can just get totally out of control.
At 23 minutes, Specks fills his magic meter.
And Furaime finds the big key of Turtle Rock in the big key chest.
Nice stair launch from
I
Specks.
haven't seen that like side stair launch before. I think people like to put it on the other side because it blocks the beetles.
Mm-hmm.
But Specks did that very smoothly.
Yeah, I missed his setup there. Ooh. Chomp's time. Furaime can take a hit. Flippers are here.
Flippers.
Fun.
That's not logical Moon Pearl because I don't think there's anything that the Flippers locked that can have the Moon Pearl. But it's really interesting that that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Again, we're not the runners here. And it's a pendant swamp.
Yeah, and none of this is in logic anymore. It's well, we don't have enough keys because there are like 2 doors that Furaime didn't unlock that he could have unlocked and not been able to progress. You can walk into Chomp's room and burn the Poke Key on one of 2 doors and have 0 keys for the rest of the dungeon. That's accessible from the middle. I'm sure there's also just some rules, like if you find 3 keys, it's in logic. I have an easier time thinking about it that way. Furaime did a good job with the dark room. Both of them in dark rooms at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Will Furaime play it safe? Looks like it.
I would be playing it safe here. Having to do that dark room again would be pretty brutal.
So I haven't really watched the items in pod. I saw a bottle come out of the big chest.
This would be at least the 4th item, because we saw flippers.
No, I mean in pod.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, we just saw all 5 items in TR, so that's actually really good because it means the front of TR is medallion locked, and also it's just a bunch of keys that we can skip.
Right. Huh. So, I'm quite surprised. We wanted TR to be the answer at the beginning. It was not. But it still could be in the Dark World. The Moon Pearl, that is.
Was the answer to Pendant Swamp, and that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Furaime placed the mirror offset in front of the pyramid. Now his position looked slightly low, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, now I wonder about this play. Is it... Oh, okay, this is just a DMD. So, it looks like it'll be a Houlihan. And we are at Link's house now.
Has anybody actually gone to the back of Escape?
I think so, but I don't remember exactly. Alright, Furaime does the method where you pick up a bush.
Seems to work pretty well for him. It's not here. But it could still be Pyramid Ledge, it could still be the Escape. And Eastern is just sitting there, which we'll probably see from Specks before we see from Furaime. Specks is making it through the turtle room and makes it out, which is pretty impressive because you usually at least want to have some kind of like medallion or the fire rod. He still has to survive the fight though, and this is not easy.
Yeah, he can take one more hit. And yeah, Moon Pearl could still be in VOO or Skull. Okay, he has to be careful. Will we be using the blue? Yes. And Helma's down. Specks earns his first crystal. Meanwhile, Furaime is going through Escape. I want to say that Crystal ending music is winning a stage in Picross. But I could be getting games mixed up. There's a lot of good puzzle game music. Pretty sure this was compiled by Moogle Charm.
I think you almost said Moogle Mod.
Yes, I did.
I heard that. Moogle Charm, the master of MSUs.
Yeah.
If you give me a random MSQ and ask me who made it, I could guess Moogle Charm and be right like 1/3 of the time. So the game one between these two had an interesting divergence at the beginning that this is reflecting. Both of them looking for Moon Pearl, and one of them in Eastern and one of them in the Escape. And the one in Eastern found the hook shot, and the one in the Escape found the Moon Pearl. And that definitely influenced the course of the race quite a bit, because Specks did not have the hook shot, and it was a hover seed, and tried to hover GT, and succeeded after several tries. Furaime was more incentivized to do other things with the hook shot, but also didn't do left side GT. They both didn't do left side GT. It was a very interesting race. If you missed it the first time, it's worth watching back, even if you know who won. The lamp in the dark room in Furaime's side is
weird.
Such a weird thing to see, and it doesn't light it up immediately. You have to transition rooms. That is a fire rod locked lamp. So that is worth keeping track of, because maybe you don't think much about the lamp, but that lamp is essentially your fire rod, so you should be thinking about where your fire sources might be leading.
Yeah. You could determine whether our runners look for a fire rod in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like if Vitreous has a small key, and that small key is intended for use in Swamp, which is how HMG works, then Vitreous being lamp locked would also be fire rod locked. And that means all of Swamp would also be fire rod locked. It'd be very interesting to see. Normally, if we didn't have the mirror, we would also consider Swamp entry to be lamp locked all the time, because of the way you do it when you don't have the mirror involves the old man save and quit.
So there's also powder in Big Chest at Eastern, so maybe that leads to something.
I think powder is something you do when you're ready to do Village of Outcast Pearl checks.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
With Pendant Thieves, I would not be as inclined to do a fake flute play. I would just do the checks that compete Pearl. But I'm also less inclined to fake flute than a lot of runners. If fake flute is the fastest way to get there for you, it is usually good to do. But it does come with some baggage, like having to manage your link state that you get out of it.
Yeah, Specks is also going to Pyramid. We can see the offset mirror portal setup.
So I think hopefully Specks watches this back, because I do want to give a little PSA, is that you can line up vertically with that hump of land below the ladder and stay on that Y coordinate, and your mirror portal will be perfectly aligned vertically.
Yeah, and there's such a wide range where you can place the portal. We saw Specks walking in circles a little bit. Anywhere in that circle probably would have worked.
Yeah, it's very lenient. You'll see people do it and you'd be like, wow, that's so impressive. How do they just walk to the pixel? Well, it's not a pixel. It's like an entire tile. and one of your axes is normalized. So Furaime and Specks are retracing steps. Not surprising.
And there is, you know, it is important to have it where you want to put it, depending on your setup, though. Because it'll ensure that you don't mirror bonk. Nice.
Whoa, sweet.
Helma clip.
I've seen people do that before. I think it depends on RNG a little bit. It's a bit of a lottery. It is really cool when it happens.
And it is a very green world on Specks' screen. Oh, and fun fact, Furaime has the lamp, so this will be easier for him.
I was just thinking about how Furaime handled the dark rooms, which I imagine he wouldn't have trouble with, and it doesn't matter at all. But he knows the fire rod won't be in this maze. Which is worth noting because fire rod and Mire Medallion are go mode for the runners. Assuming they can get past Moldorm 2. What do you know about Furaime's ability to cross Moldorm 2 gap?
I don't know exactly. All right. Specks is going to the back, so he'll find lamp here as well. Meanwhile, Furaime continues to Helma.
So what is left? Is it really just Village of Outcasts and Skullwoods?
Okay, so Specks finds the lamp and does a key steal setup.
Yeah, this is insurance for when he wants to go to Pendant Swamp later on.
Yeah.
If he really wanted to badly go into Pendant Swamp, he could clip into there from Hera and steal the key and use it in Swamp. I don't think that will happen in the seed.
Oh, Sick Kid is on our list, by the way.
Sick Kid. So Sick Kid and Powder together is actually pretty good. I'm surprised. We saw Sick Kid because there was a bottle in CAC.
Okay.
So it's just Powder.
Just Powder. Okay.
Did you see if Powder was in the dark?
I missed where the big key was. I didn't pay attention, unfortunately. Just a piece of heart.
Okay, mountain for Specks. Specks has a few options. Furaime's already been to Turtle Rock. Specks has not. This is going to be King's Tomb first.
Ah, King's Tomb.
We didn't see King's Tomb, did we?
I forgot about King's Tomb.
I thought maybe we saw it, but actually now that you mention it, I don't think we have.
Yeah, I
Specks,
thought we were going to see it at one point, and then we didn't.
yeah, there's, you see this clip and it's like 2 different checks come out of it. Specks is going for a dash version of the setup, which is, I think it's a little harder when you have a sword to do anything where you might be spinning your sword on a cabbage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I thought that might be a vanilla big key, so there we go. And nothing at King's Tomb. Now it's really looking like VOO Skullwoods area. For sure. But will Specks do that, or will Specks go to TR?
This is TR. Or at least it's Super Bunny Cave. But it's hard to imagine doing that and just ending it there.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he'll end stream there.
Oh no.
Hopefully it comes back.
He didn't. Yeah, he cut out. I can see it. I can see him coming back on the race room, so it looks like we will be getting him back. Just a momentary blip.
All right, so our most nights are down for Furaime. 2 dungeons done. Specks is now back, and we can see that he's traveling through Super Bunny Cave.
I am surprised to see him traveling through Super Bunny Cave and not getting near Super Bunny from the top.
Ah, okay.
Because
yeah.
he would have entered from the top using the hammer.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to realize I could do that.
I think it's not entirely intuitive that you'll carry your Super Bunny down the stairs.
Mm-hmm. True.
Most people doing Super Bunny aren't taking it that far. So this is Mirror Clip into middle of TR. This is all stuff Furaime's already done. Specks will have the advantage of having the lamp here for a slightly easier darkroom, but the darkroom didn't seem to slow down Furaime at all. Furaime is doing what looks like a classic mirror-based Death Mountain descent. This is the logical way to get off the mountain. And it's also one of the oldest glitches in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I remember reading about this as a kid. And they were calling it Death Mountain Descent then, too.
Ah.
It's an old name.
And there we go. Furaime has it. Meanwhile, Specks did the Underworld Bunny Revive as well that Furaime did earlier. There's an optimization our runners could look into to make getting into TR faster, which is to use a mirror Super Bunny to get in.
Oh yeah, there's a new version of the any percent speedrun that uses this rule set that uses that. It involves the bunny beam, I believe. Or it just involves
doesn't really.
the pipe.
It involves the pipe, that's right.
Yeah, the pipe will give you link state. So as long as you can get to the pipe,
yeah,
you can get link.
And you come out of the pipe as Lonk, which is you can't use the B button, but once you touch an enemy or use hookshot, you can return to link state.
So we're getting some questions about whether Specks has done more than Furaime. Specks is doing things that Furaime has already done. So this is retracing of steps.
Yeah, and it looks like Furaime is first to the area that we need to be.
That's correct. So I would actually give the lead to Furaime.
What do you think this lava is made out of?
I was thinking it was like nacho cheese dip.
I can see that, yeah. There it is, Moon
There it
Pearl,
is. Moon Pearl and Skull.
Mummy Prison.
There are only a few places left that could be, but the game could have given us mitts and made it worse. Game could have given us fry rod for desert if that was an item, since the lamp is out of logic.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the mitts could have opened up Ice Palace. So, one crucial piece of information these runners are going to need to know is the Meyer Medallion. Given how close they are to go mode, it's probably worth getting there sooner than later. I expect Furaime to do a north to south loop out of Skull and hit that on the way. And Specks will probably be in a similar situation because of where the Moon Pearl is.
Oop. And we did see a mirror from Furaime to ensure that he stays in the Dark World. That fake Dark World I mentioned earlier.
Specks, no.
Oh.
I think dealing with that beetle is very dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Hopefully Specks just leaves. Because this is not in logic. And he has neither rod. I don't think it's actually worthwhile to go back through here.
Yeah, if it were me, I would not really be thinking about the logic. I mean, just because I'm sort of an amateur when it comes to key logic, it might not be on his mind, but yeah.
Oh, we're getting a pedestal check from Furaime.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting. It's not possible to do the pedestal right now because of the hook shot, but also because of Tower of Hera Pendant. I don't think we have access to the top of the tower without the Meyer Medallion, which is one of the items we need for go mode. So it's unlikely. It is a sword, which is funny.
Yeah, and it's...
Yeah, they won't be missing that sword. They already untempered for a very long time.
Yeah.
In Specks' defense, these are definitely items, because only one of them could have been a key, and I think he found it. They could have been like map and compass too, but he knew at least that these weren't these weren't keys. I still disagree with doing this though, just because of the logic. And the fact that once you get your pearl, you can just go back into the back and beat the dungeon.
Did Specks go into Mimic Cave?
Specks did Mimic Cave first. That's what you would do, right? Because you don't want a dungeon revive and then have to mirror twice to get out of Fake Dark World. So you always do Mimic Cave first. Although I think you might be mirroring twice anyway, just because you're going back to the Dark World. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you actually do mirror twice.
I just didn't see. Oh, Specks hasn't done Hobo yet.
Right.
This is something I thought.
I don't think either of them has. I think both of them went to Saw's Closet from here.
Yeah.
I think we would have known if they had the money from Hobo. That was 100 rupees.
Right.
They definitely didn't have that going into South Shore.
Yeah, I kind of just assumed that they did it. It's one of those one-off locations that can go forgotten sometimes.
It's one of those things I always do so early that I just don't... It doesn't even occur to me that runners haven't done it yet. It's like finding out that Link's house is an item. So, what is Specks doing? I think this might be a bottle pickup. So instead of going to mirror-based descend, he's probably going to fake flute instead. Have we really seen very many fake flutes in this tournament yet?
I like that we got 3 of them.
Yeah. It might as well, right? You have the money. Oh, Bombos. That could be important. Bombos not only potentially a Meyer Medallion, but also something that we can finally clear ice with. It's not in logic without the mitts, but we could go in there with the mirror or the flippers. We have the mitts now. Ice Palace is in logic. Take that all back.
That is quite interesting.
also missed fire, like where the ice rod was. Because I did mention fire rod medallion go mode at some point, and the ice rod had been collected, but I didn't see where it was. Okay, that was a good fake flute for Specks. You use the potion on screen transition, and you will get put in the flute menu. Specks, if Specks wasn't a bunny, you could actually activate the flute there, but you cannot activate the flute as a bunny. I've tried. He has to be careful not to get hit here.
Yeah.
Because one of the things fake flute does, actually the primary thing it does really, besides get you here, it puts you in super bunny state, so you can interact with objects. Most importantly, you can go in here and die, and get fake Dark World on the entire overworld screen. Surprised to see Furaime chasing the Smith chain, but also because he activated the flute and found the mitts, there isn't really a better time to do it than now besides never.
Yeah. I'm kind of not surprised. I agree with you that it feels like a good time.
So despite, Furaime being a little ahead on getting Moon Pearl, Specks is in Pendant Thieves, which is something I don't think Furaime did.
Yeah. Here's Bombos.
Oh, he did Bombos, but he didn't do all of it.
The question is whether he'll continue. And he is.
Specks is death warping to get the link state. Yeah. So Specks is trying to get the link state for the whole screen instead of just in here. Because once you exit, you'll be a bunny.
Okay.
So they are even.
Parody again.
Parody, except that Specks has to go into Skull to get the pearl.
And we get the true colors of Village of Outcasts, which is so bright.
It is very green. This is like
so
the light world.
Yeah.
It's spring in the dark world. The Smith chain that Furaime is doing is potentially costing enough time that Specks can catch up if he skips it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just gonna go get his pearl, which I think at this point he knows it's here.
Yeah.
Because, oh no, the mitts were in logic. Oh, that's gotta be that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Specks doesn't actually know the pearl is here.
Yeah. Okay, so here's Hobo for Furaime.
Yeah.
He's not leaving any stones unturned here.
This is a weird one. I don't know why the spin speed clip doesn't just like work normally on these north slopes. You always get these weird like teleports.
Yeah.
If you have hook shot, you can hold your sword out in hook speed, or you can just sword out boots clip through and not deal with that spin speed issue.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's some timing to changing the upright into an up, and then you can get it. But I don't know the window where you can do that.
The Furaime returning to the portal makes sense. Even though he could have done Skullwoods there, or not Skullwoods, Ice Palace there, he was on his way to Misery Mire, and it's pretty important that he knows if Fire Rod is his go mode or not. Mm-hmm. I'm also not sure. I've been told that he can hover and Moldorm bounce, but I don't know how confident he is in this particular race, because not everybody who can do that is necessarily ready to pull it out in moment's notice.
Yeah, I would be surprised, but well, there's still room for surprises in this race.
So I can't remember if Furaime checked Bumper Ledge on the way down. I think he would have, right? But it is nothing.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
And Furaime, I don't think Furaime's been to the Mire area yet.
No, not yet.
Usually you would do that on the way here. You do it after Dig Game, and then you pop out underneath Stumpy. So he's missing out on that info.
Yeah, but it might just be momentary.
Yeah, he has the flute and mitt, so he's probably just going to go there the normal way. Specks did not. I don't think Specks activated the flute. The Specks will not go for. Really unlikely to go for Smith Chain.
Oh, we don't get Meyer. We don't even get Ice Palace.
Oh, and Specks isn't going there either.
I'm
So he is doing
surprised.
Smith Chain.
So Furaime maybe let the hook shot determine where he wants to go next.
Oh, Furaime has a hook shot. Of
Yeah,
course.
that was in Hype Cave. So I was thinking hook shot cave, but maybe he'll go to GT now.
I was thinking GT because when you're in maybe Fire Rod Go mode, you can not have to worry about leaving anything behind. But I would at least want to know if I'm in Fire Rod Go mode before going in here.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me to leave that info behind. Here's the thing though. He can go there whenever he wants using flute and mitts.
He can, but he's potentially anything he finds after Fire Rod is potential time waste.
Mm-hmm.
He's allowed to like
True.
open chests not knowing he's in Go mode.
So, after a hook shot resulted in nothing, Furaime is returning to West Dark Death Mountain. Are we going? No, we're not. Okay, time for GT.
GT is one of the worst places to find the Fire Rod and not know you're in Go mode or not. Because then you
Yeah,
have
for
all of that
sure.
like Fire Rod lock stuff you can open up. Okay, yeah, we're leaving the purple chest behind. I'm curious to see if Specky knows that you can clip to the. Yeah, he's doing it. Let's go. You
yeah,
don't see
very
this very
cool.
often. No. Maybe he just didn't quite remember.
Yeah, and it's just one screen over.
It is cool though. You can clip down there. You hold up after transitioning, and it puts you right next to the purple chest guy. As long as you don't land directly on him, you're fine. And that's just a matter of don't mirror on him. You have time to adjust. There might have been a time when we would have gone into Swamp just to see if the first chest is an item, but we recently learned that the logic doesn't actually account for the first chest potentially being an item that you can access from the front.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a key, and then you have access to the whole dungeon, but it will never be the Meyer Medallion, which is a shame, because it totally could be if the logic knew about that. Hookshot was found just now by Specks in Hype Cave, and Furaime has it, of course. Yeah, it's just a consequence of the way the logic was adjusted to allow for these underworld clips, but it wasn't really like done in a way that I almost think that like he didn't really expect anyone to actually play this mode. People didn't really play this mode until we took out the bunny clipping. I like how you call it Hookshot Cave in the chat. That's pretty funny. It kind of is. It has a hookshot in it. Specks is going to Meyer, by the way. We're going to finally get to see the medallion.
Yeah, there's gonna be some garbled screen flashing. That's just from moving to the
rain.
screen.
It says normal weather.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're from, but when we have rain, it looks like this. By the way, that is Bombos for Meyer. So we are actually in Fire Rod Go mode.
Wow.
And for real, not even like a can you hover way, just straight up Fire Rod Go mode. No questions.
Or can you get into Ice Palace? And of course, we have all the ways to get there. Okay. So now the big question is, where is Fire Rod?
Well, one place we know Fire Rod is not going to be is anywhere that the lamp locks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so remember that little bit of logic with the Fire Rod being the logical access to Lamp and Dark Cross means that we can ignore anything that's fire rod locked. Specks will not find it here, but this is a crystal that he can get on the way. He can go into Mire and skip the cutscene chest as long as it's not the key, because he knows it's not going to be there. So that's a pretty cool thing to have in your pocket, that knowledge.
Yeah, good point.
And Fire Rod is actually just sitting in GT for Furaime. So
and it's super interesting. There's another medallion there.
No, he's in go mode. I think this is correct. You save and quit out. You don't
Yeah.
climb because you need to find out right now if you're in go mode. Furaime also has ether, so he has a little bit more reason to believe he's in go mode than Specks would have.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I don't even think he did right side.
He did. You wouldn't. The whole point of it, you leave because you want to find out right away. It doesn't take that long to get back. And you want to do GT last anyway, because that's getting back to GT is one of the fastest ways to Ganon. We did a whole bunch of timing about how to get to Ganon after your last dungeon, and one of the fastest ways is to just make GT your last dungeon, even if it means you're saving and quitting out of GT.
A little close to the Dactyl for comfort, but that's fine. Yeah, so this is go mode for Furaime. And Specks is going into Mire at the same time.
I'm curious to watch Specks routing through these dungeons that have fire-locked elements in them. Because it's definitely going to be informed by the logic. Whereas Furaime is just going to straight go mode all of them. So that's a little less interesting, but I expect Furaime to be a little faster because of the go mode is just straight up better than not being in go mode. One thing Specks will be looking for is if there's a small key on Vitreous. As we explained earlier, the small keys, all 3 Mire small keys are required to get into Swamp if the Swamp small key is not in the front. So if any of those small keys are fire locked, then Fire Rod can't be in Swamp.
That is unless the small key of Swamp Palace is in the first chest, right?
Correct. Yeah, the small key is in the first chest, then it follows normal, like, no glitches logic. So you would need to have the mirror, you'd need to have I don't know. I forgot what you need. You need the mirror and you need the pearl. You probably need the hammer unless certain things align up.
It could be in the bomb wall chest.
Could be. If only there was a clip that skips the hammer and swamp. There's an item fire locked in Mire. Do you think Specks is gonna get it? Yeah, he's still looking for a key, so it makes sense to get this one. But I don't think Specks will go down until it's the big key. Oh, he's going down. Oh, he's just going down because... Yeah, I don't think this is faster. Am I right?
I'm not sure. It's not the way I would go. Big key is on the right side, and Furaime cannot progress and needs to go to the left.
Oh, Furaime doesn't have enough small keys.
Yeah.
Specks is going to the... No! Specks is going to this chest.
Yeah.
Which is...
Not out of logic.
It's out of logic, and it's slower at the lamp. I wouldn't want to do this, but maybe what he's thinking is that he's going to go to Swamp at some point, and then he can clip more easily if he's moved this wall.
And nice refill for Furaime, and then walking across the spikes while recovering hearts to get to full hearts. Oop.
Furaime could have spookied, I think.
He used powder though.
Oh, he used powder, of course.
Nice, we get the cane dash.
I never thought about just bonking on that block there. Makes it a lot easier.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
I don't think I knew that was there. We're still powdering.
Better safe than sorry. Oh, can we beat the bunny beam? We can't. Furaime is gaming.
Yeah, the beams make that a little easier, but you can actually do it just by throwing the pot very quickly. You can get hit by the bunny beam is actually, I think, the thing that's hard to do. And then I guess the beams are what let you skip it entirely. That's pretty cool. Do you think he got to beams just so he could show that off?
Yes. I don't know.
I don't know. Yes. I respect it. We're all about showing off in the glitch tournament, even if the thing you're doing is not a glitch. Oh, will you look at that?
There is a
Swamp
key.
Is fire locked somehow.
Right.
Such a weird logic.
Shoutouts to advanced logic, making escape navigable with fire rod.
This is, by the way, their second race where they have had to go through left side GT to find a rod for their go mode.
Oh.
Slightly different circumstances.
Yeah. GT has progression half the time.
Yeah, GT does not have any junk fill in glitch modes. It's treated kind of like a zero crystal entry. But I think it's really just like a line in the code that says if it's a glitch mode and it's not inverted, you just ignore the junk fill entirely.
So this is quite convenient. Furaime took down Landmo. I guess Specks took down Landmo just before coming to Meyer.
Yeah, that lets you have beams for Meyer too. I think it's a little faster, or at least a little easier to do it that way.
So I like that Specks left Meyer, but it's not a play to GT, so I'm wondering what's next.
I think this is Ice Palace, which is, it's in line like with what you would do. You do Ice Palace, it's your last crystal before GT. And Specks is clearly playing for crystal dungeons rather than GT, which is a whole bunch of empty checks. If it's nothing, I don't know. I like doing GT. Half the time you're on a key hunt anyway. Oh yeah, we get that pleasant palette.
Oh yeah.
I like how the Freezer also has the palette.
Periwinkle Palace.
What flavor do you think this ice cream is?
I guess raspberry.
I was thinking it was like one of those like fancy schmancy lavender lemonade type of flavors. Blueberry's a good answer.
Ice Palace is a bop as well.
It is. Specks has found 2 items that I've seen.
Yeah.
I didn't catch if he even did Pengator Room. He skipped it last time. I always wonder when watching these races, like, do the runners feel ahead or behind? And I think both runners probably feel neutral because they know that the Moon Pearl is in a bad location and that they can expect their opponent to have done roughly the same thing. They probably both feel a little bit bad about doing TR.
Right. Yeah. All right, so next up is Ice Palace for Furaime.
Specks really didn't lose time doing Ice Palace.
Mm-hmm.
Given the skips that he did, finding 2 items that are pretty on the way means, I mean, he's still not ahead, but because he has to get the Fire Rod and do GT Basement and do Skullwoods. So like he's behind by a couple dungeons. And that lead is only going to stretch as long as he doesn't get Fire Rod, but he's still doing pretty well in terms of like keeping up and not letting not being in go mode slow him down too much. I hate this room. So what my approach to this room is if I miss the bomb, I immediately walk down and plant one on the rail right above the switch.
Yeah, sure. It's a good rule.
I like how he somehow came out of that room with more bombs than he entered with.
Yeah. Bombs just everywhere. Okay. Furaime gets through the ice thing room and is skipping chests. Will not find shovel or the heart container. Maybe we'll find shovel. No.
Primate's not doing anything. I wonder if it would be optimal for Specks to do GT climb now and then walk from back of skull versus doing GT last.
I don't recall. I will find out. If this is good, though, that Specks is in GT, so we could be in go mode very soon. Yeah, it still takes 51 seconds to walk out of Skull Woods, so seems like it's still faster just to do Aga 2 into Ganon, because we're turning. Well, no, never mind.
Yeah, you're factoring in a save and quit versus not saving and quitting. Because they have Mirror and Flute to get to Skull after GT, which makes things a little more complicated, but it's probably so close it doesn't really matter. What did matter was Furaime leaving to check the medallion. That was very important.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only justification for staying in would be to, like, if you didn't have the big key yet, you could keep looking for the big key. So other than Furaime being in go mode first, I think one of the maybe one of the biggest factors in the time difference was when Specks died in TR and walked all the way back to Laser Bridge again. But that's not all of the difference. It really did just come down to who went to GT first, in my opinion.
Yes. For sure.
Furaime's doing Boomer mirror wrap.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing though. Like he knows how to fix it when he misses. So that's good. If you're too high, you actually do different inputs to fix it. Specks doing big chest real quick before doing anything else.
Ooh.
That mini helm was fun.
Yeah.
I always just deal with him with the hook shot. I don't mess around.
All right, so there's the mirror up for Furaime. And he'll be going to Trinex.
Mind the gap.
I don't understand platform creation yet. I think it's a frame rule, but
Oh, is
I'm
it
not
really?
sure. Yeah, it really feels like if you test it out, there are certain pixels that are inconsistent.
It's so interesting. I never questioned it except like thinking like, oh, just don't go too fast. But of course, if you're trying to optimize a speed run, you're gonna try to see how fast you can go and still get away with it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even occur to me to probe the limits of that. Alright, Furaime down to just the GT climb, whereas Specks has to do Skullwoods and TR, so this is a pretty strong lead for Furaime.
Interesting mimics 2 strat for Specks. I haven't really seen that strat, or I haven't noticed it before, but he just walks down to the bottom mimic and shoots it.
Specks is being shy with arrows. I wonder if that has to do with having only 3 and maybe thinking the silver arrows might show up. Well, that's a good point. Well, I don't know if we'll get more arrows. Because Skullwoods and TR don't have arrows in them. But that does mean that, at least from his perspective, he's a little more likely to get silvers.
Skullwoods has arrows.
Skullwoods has arrows? Wait, it does? Oh,
There's
right. Right before
5
that.
in the...
Ah, you're right. I wouldn't have thought of that.
5 in the room before that as well.
I don't think either of his dungeons have items in them. Maybe Skull has one. TR doesn't. We saw all 5.
Nice Cannonball Z for Furaime. I'm not sure what went on with Furaime's strat for G1.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Both of them being arrow shy.
He got out of it though.
Yeah, I saw an arrow hit a block. Normally you hold down left out of that room and fire immediately.
We have our first Moldorm fight. Moldorm 2.
That's right. You have the most difficult chest in the world. I was worried he was gonna dash off the ledge there for a second.
Are we gonna get a powder? No. Furaime is feeling good at 3.5 hearts.
Yeah. Furaime might still have a blue potion. One of them drank one.
Mm-hmm.
But I forget which. I think it was Specks and Helmasaur.
Yeah.
Specks has like 2 more blue potions from the fake flute purchase though.
Oh, I like the
And
cape strats.
Yeah, Specks brought cape strats out last time and it worked really well. Got basically what you would normally do a damage boost. Was able to use the cape to get that for free.
Right.
He's having a little more trouble with this one though. But one thing that's I think cape is pretty cool because you can no longer get knocked off by blue balls like you normally would.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Furaime does have a blue. Furaime is not going to risk it. His movement was it involved a few dodges, so he's ensuring that there's no jingle glitch. And jingle glitch may have been patched in no glitches randomizer, but it is not patched in glitched modes.
Yeah. So for those of you who are in this tournament and think Jingle Glitch is patched, it's not. You still have to be careful.
Moldworm 2 for Furaime.
Oh yeah. It was a very quick fall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be too much of a hindrance in this race.
Nice spin. Good reach. All right, so Specks is showing us the mirror wrap with the modern setup. Very well done.
Oh, this is interesting. I think Specks could have bombed that wall for safety door earlier and gotten the time back from not having to bomb it here. It would have been less costly than normal.
That's true.
There would still be a screen transition, but the actual bombing would have been free.
Well, you don't even have to transition.
What do you mean? Oh, to use the safety door, which would have saved him a lot of time in the seat because he died.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. All right, Agatue down for Furaime.
That palette had me questioning whether Specks is using the correct rod for Trinex. Because I saw the two red heads and the ice rod was missing, and I was like, well, wait, maybe it's not the ice rod after all.
All right, Furaime at Ganon. Specks now defeating Trinex.
I didn't think about the location of Bombos being in a pendant dungeon, but because it was a non-issue, both runners did it, but it was very easy to miss that.
Yeah. Yeah, both runners were pretty thorough going through after finding Moon Pearl. Both did Thieves Town front and the Smith Chain, but not the back of Thieves.
Oh, that's right. Specks is doing this. So this is map wrap, which is it's really just another overworld out of bounds clip, but because you're going off the edge of the map, it has some extra risks involved. Specks needs to. Oh my god, he just goes for it.
Specks. I love it.
Specks has so much gumption. He's so fun to watch. So like Specks really needed to not get nudged to the right on any part of that movement, and usually you see people tiptoeing into that entrance because if you go too far you'll get nudged and hard lock your game and lose all your progress. And Specks just walked like it was nothing.
And Ganon is down. GG's to Furaime. And his official time is 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 30 seconds. That's a good time.
And Specks finishing his last dungeon, not too far behind. We'll get to see some cool overworld movement to get to Ganon, to see how it's done from different parts of the world. It's just one of the more interesting ones. Save and quit and go to 6 or something. I thought he was gonna walk, but when you have the flute, I guess you can just
6.
yeah, not 6. I don't know. I think this is still slower than walking out of Skull and clipping, but if you're not confident with the clip, then it might not be slower after all.
Yeah, the clip in question is one where you're in a screen wrapped state, and you have to fall into the Ganon drop while Link is on the edge of a screen. And
And
it can be kind of tricky to fall in without making it a Houlihan drop
yeah,
instead.
your camera's a little messed up, and that's how you get Houlihan. It's amazing that you can do it without getting Houlihan at all.
Yeah.
We have 2 swords showing up on this credits scene. One of them's on Ped, one of them's on Zora.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think Furaime will give us an interview?
I'm ready.
We have a chance for another Furaime interview for Game 3, because this is a best of 3 and they are each up a game. I really liked how this just kind of happened that the number of runners that we got maximized the buys in such a way that most people got to race somebody close to their skill level in their first game, and I thought that was really cool. We've seen a lot of Game 3s already.
Did we already talk about silver arrows, Malmo?
No, did he say they're in my tower?
Yes.
Are they on the firelock side, or did we not open chests in the top?
Not sure, really. The right side is my guess.
Very clean phase 4 for Specks. Now put your GGs for a pretty close second place, 127.18. Spoiler alert. I can see the race room and count.
Nice fight.
Nice fight.
We are joined by Specky Specks. GG.
Thank you for the GGs, and thanks for calling me Malmo and Checks.
And it all came down to the fire rod at the end. So how are you feeling about that search?
The Fireword search, I did feel like I wasted. Well, I bet there was some. I had some stuff earlier on that definitely wasted some time. So I have to look back and see exactly what Furaime did, and obviously I need to clip some of those older game mistakes. But like what the Firewad was, I think it was probably in GT. I shouldn't have done. I honestly shouldn't have done Smith Chain, and I shouldn't have done Cutscene Chest and Meyer. And I'm sure throughout the run, there was some things that Furaime did more efficiently. I messed up a couple things, so I had to redo some tricks, unfortunately. And I imagine most of the time losses came to extra efficiency by Furaime throughout the race and better execution, and maybe a few less checks. I don't know.
I think there were a couple things that factored that were pretty obvious. The big one is that Furaime was just straight up in go mode before you by a lot because he went to GT and you did Crystal Dungeons. So that's one of those things that you can't really like make a judgment call on. Both of them are fine to do, and the C just favored GT. The other one I think would be dying in TR and then going back to Laser Bridge.
Yes, that felt bad. That was, I'll blame Nervous on that one. I just freaked out with the squid monster, and I could have just caped. I could do 10 things I could have done that would have avoided that death. But
Yeah, that's fine.
Nervous got to
The
me,
deaths
and
happen. The deaths
Yeah.
happen. I think going back in actually would have, because it was out of logic to be there at all because you didn't get enough keys in the middle.
yeah, that's a good point. I didn't have the medallion, but I also knew that I died by accident to the chain chomps as well, so I wasn't able to continue to compass chest. But I mean, I would have had enough keys anyway because I didn't have a fire rod. So you're right. I should have avoided it.
You
in
couldn't have
hindsight.
done compass chest because you had 0 keys and chomps. So actually, it was fine.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, that didn't matter.
I knew that. Totally. Whoops.
Yeah, I thought it was quite fast and intentional. So
No,
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
actually
accident.
didn't know that that was not a death warp.
I would have
either.
mirrored. I had mirror at that point. But yeah, TR, I lost a lot of time. That was the biggest time loss. And then, yeah, they went to GT first, which is also totally reasonable. They would be able to clear the dungeons a little bit faster. But I do think in the situation, I had a few execution mistakes, primarily in TR, I added time. A couple other spots, added a little bit. And then I just think I should have saw it as GT mode and skipped Chain and Meyer, but I mean, is what it is.
Furaime made an interesting decision of going into GT before actually seeing the Meyer medallion, so had to leave to check it. But leaving to check it ended up being fine because you want to do GT last anyway.
That's true. Yeah.
And your execution was good in a lot of areas. Your mirror app was modern and without any error.
That was a nice dig on Furaime's Boomer mirror app.
Oh, well, thanks. I'll have to see what wrap they do. I'm curious.
You used to have to like manually line up on a pixel at the bottom, and it's really easy to soft lock if you don't do it right. It's good to know as a backup, but yeah, you definitely like played very well. Like outside of course you're going to remember the deaths, but outside of the deaths, you played very well. You did like Dark Pod, right? With nothing.
Oh, yeah, that was scary. I was wanting to put that off because I'm like, it's so slow, but had to do it with the way the seed was laid out. But at least I had cape and blue potions and stuff to help make it easier. So cape, you can just cape, and then everyone will group up on you, and then you can just, if you have damage, you can just basically, at least they'll all be near you, and you have to go scout them out.
And Furaime is making a point in chat, and it's also something I mentioned in commentary. When you were going back into the dungeon, TR, you had to bomb up in that wall anyway. So bombing up in the wall while you're doing laser bridge is free, and actually saves time if you throw the bomb and then do laser bridge skips or whatever. If you're not worried about dying, that's time that you're not spending just standing on the bomb waiting for it to go.
You're 100% right. I actually thought about that for the first time ever when I was touring TR, and I'm like, I could have bombed this earlier, but now I'll start doing it because yeah, it would save a few seconds for sure.
And if you're ever in like a God forbid, I'm just not going to get the moon pearl in this seed situation. Bombing up in the wall lets you mirror wrap as a bunny, which is kind of fun because you can do that by setting up a portal and then clipping as Link, and then going into the portal on a teleport pixel, so you don't have to do any one frame clips. And then you can mirror wrap as a bunny because the bombs are already open. That's a nice little tip for when we do our No Moon Pearl tournament.
You're saying I could just I can mirror clip through from the top.
Yeah.
And then
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, this is actually my new favorite way to get to the mountain in the Dark World as a bunny, which is to just set up that portal and clip on top of it. You do have to be pretty fast with the clipping, but you have more time than you think.
I'll practice that, but you're saying that only applies when laser bridge has been bombed open already, right?
Yeah, because you will not be able to use bombs as a bunny, no matter how super you are.
Yep.
But if it's already open, you can just walk in and die.
Okay, so that's the way to do it when you're in bunny form. But you can still use it if you're in link state, then you wouldn't care if you have a bomber, if you could bomb it or not.
No, getting a link state up there is pretty terrible though. It's a lot of fake fluting and walking back up to the mountain.
Oh, I meant late game instead of doing the wrap or something. You would just do that. That was probably slower. If you can do
it would be slower.
wraps.
But yeah, it's definitely a lot of little tricks you can get up your sleeve. You learn them by watching. Like I'm learning things by watching you. I didn't think about bringing Aghanim, bringing the cape to the Aghanim fight, and I saw you making really good use of that in your last race, and then using it again in this race.
Thank you. That's strats I use when I'm not the best at it, so it makes it a little easier when you're not great at it. And also, like then the blue balls don't cause you issues, so it's super nice. But yeah, I'm mostly happy with how I played, minus TR issues. And I think I mostly routed smart. I think I was a little too thorough at the end, but I think I played reasonably. I can't be too upset, and I'll work on a few things that came up in this race that will not mess up again.
I actually do have to ask, did you twig that the fire rod could not be behind the lamp?
I did know that. I knew that my lamp was fire rod locked, so I knew it could. So I was going to go through GG because I knew that was essentially not. I knew that wasn't lamp or fire rod locked on the left side. But I knew after that I was going to start. GG didn't have it. I was going to start only doing non-fire locked things to find that fire rod.
Yeah, one of those things that was not fire locked, you may have noticed, was Swamp Palace. All right, Swamp Palace was fire locked because of the location of the small key on Vitreous.
Oh, yeah. Because if you need to throw Mire small.
Yeah, it's a key. It's just a key, but it's like all the swamp is locked behind it, which is pretty cool. It's good to pay attention to these things. It makes the game a lot more fun.
Yeah, because you would need the lamp, which means you need the fire rod to get to Vidi. Because left side had no keys, but because of Vidi. I didn't think about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, fun mode.
My mind was like, let's not even think about Swamp yet, but that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Cool.
Cool. Yeah. So if you want to see more cool, there's a ton of races tomorrow. I think there's like 3 hours of straight races, like one after the other. One of them is a potential doubleheader. So if you want to volunteer for any of these races, you do not need to know glitch modes to track. If you're interested in tracking or commentating these races, you can reach out to me directly or any of the members of this tournament, and we can hook you up with what you need. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow for more hybrid major glitches.
Yeah, and join the ALTTPR glitch tournament server. It's where we are posting all the events and everything. Yeah, fun to commentate with you, Malmo. GG's again, Furaime and Specks. So thanks all.